This is our 27th day in captivity. So far we have been provided with adequate food and water and facilities, and so we are unharmed and in reasonable physical health. Our kidnappers are losing patience. They are concerned that there has been no response at all to their demands for money.
It's due to joblessness. But after your years in school, going back home now, you don't have any work to do. What do you think will come to your mind? And you cannot go to the river and go and fishing any longer again. So if you have any way to go there, you go and do piracy.
Yeah, and you don't want to employ we. That is the major reason why we are doing this. You don't want to employ us, and you are exploiting from us.
When I think of Somali pirates, there's only one thing that comes to mind.
Look at me, sure. Look at me, sure. I'm the captain now.
And if I was to guess, I would say it's the exact same for you. But it got me thinking about who they are and why they do what pirates do. So in this video, I wanted to dive into the world of Somali pirates. Somalian pirates essentially captured ships and vessels taking hostages for ransom along the Somali coast, particularly in the Gulf of Aden and the Indian Ocean. The pirates can be divided into three main categories. Local fishermen, who were considered the brains of the operation due to their skill and knowledge of the sea. Ex-military men who had fought for the local clans, or ex-military from the former government, used as kind of muscle, and then the technical experts who operate the equipment such as GPS devices. So how did it come to be? Well, it began in 1991 when the fall of the Siad Barre regime happened. Somalia descended into a civil war, leaving it without a functional central government. It was actually designated a failed state in 1992. This created lawlessness with no navy to enforce the territorial waters, which meant that the international fishing fleets exploited Somalia's unprotected exclusive economic zone, depleting the fish stocks and impoverishing local fishermen. Reports of toxic waste dumping by foreign entities also angered coastal communities, pushing them into piracy, initially claiming they were defending Somali waters. With foreign fishermen depleting their local stock, many essentially claimed they were coast guards protecting their waters. Somalians felt it was necessary, at least initially, to stop international fishermen from stealing from their waters. Another very key factor was simply because of poverty. People simply had no income source, and they felt they literally had no choice. And as of 2022, 54.4% of Somali population live below the poverty line. Now, other reasons include the absence of any real government, which allowed piracy networks to flourish with little oversight or consequences, and also the fact that the Gulf of Aden is a crucial shipping route connecting Europe, the Middle East and Asia, making it an attractive target for pirates. In fact, the Gulf of Aden is one of the most lucrative places for piracy in the world because of its close proximity to the main merchant shipping route. More than 20% of global trade passes through the Gulf of Aden. So effectively the water was the wild, wild west, and to be fair to the Somalians, you can understand their frustration with extreme poverty and with other people invading their waters and stealing their food supply. So it created the perfect storm for piracy. So generally speaking, the pirates worked along the Somali coast, such as El Haboa and Haradir. The reason they used these locations was for staging grounds to prepare for attacks and also to use as a base for the captured crew and ships. Pirates operated in loose networks with notable groups, including those led by the infamous figures like Muhammad Abdi Hassan, or known as Big Mouth. When they saw a vessel they wanted to attack, they would use small, fast skiffs launched from larger motherships to reach vessels far out at sea, all while armed with AK-47s and RPGs as they boarded the ships and vessels. Once captured, they would hold the crew captive and demand a ransom from the vessel's government, usually somewhere between $1 to $10 million.
Then what do you request for your government?
I have to request from the American or the German government the full ransom.
And then how do you want it to be?
They need to give an answer within 3 days, and if there's no answer to payment of the ransom within 3 days, then the kidnappers here will sell me to Al-Shabaab.
Hostages were generally beaten, given very little food or water, put in cramped conditions, and were threatened with violence or death constantly. If negotiations were stalled, it got worse for the hostages. In some cases, they were even tortured. Now, killing was actually very rare because the hostages were seen as tools to negotiate for more money. Hostages could be held for months too, which, as you can imagine, must be a horrible experience for them. Now, these methods actually brought them great success, because between the year 2005 and 2012, shipping containers paid over $300 million in ransom. Now, its peak was between 2008 and 2012, with over 200 attacks annually at its height. Insurance companies that insured these vessels travelling in these waters shot up their premiums because the risk of pirate hijacking was so high. Now, of course, the most infamous example of a hijacking was depicted in the film Captain Phillips, when Phillips offered to be the hostage in exchange for his crew, and he was put on a live raft with the pirates. And as a result, the US Navy deployed SEAL Team 6, an elite counter-terrorism unit, to execute a rescue operation. During the operations, Navy snipers fired 3 simultaneous shots from the deck of the Brain Bridge, killing all 3 pirates that were aboard the lifeboat with Captain Phillips. Captain Phillips was unharmed and immediately rescued. The other pirate who stayed on the vessel was arrested and sentenced to over 30 years in prison. By 2012, there was a sharp decline in piracy. International vessels and ships were pissed, and more measures were being introduced. Now, the European Union launched Operation Atlanta in 2008 to protect shipping lanes and escort humanitarian aid deliveries to Somalia. NATO's Operation Ocean Shield, which started in 2009 and ended in 2016, coordinated with other nations to deter piracy. Nations like the US, China and India independently deployed warships to the region. Even shipping companies themselves employed private maritime security firms to guard their vessels. Vessels also adapted defensive measures such as using razor wire, water cannons and evasive measures. Crew were also trained to deal with these situations as well. So this made it increasingly difficult for the pirates, with many getting killed or arrested and tried for their crimes. Local authorities and clans in Somalia began cooperating to combat piracy, realizing it was damaging their reputation and attracting foreign military presence. In Puntland, a semi-autonomous region in Somalia, authorities began targeting pirate havens and arresting key leaders. A lot of the captured pirates were prosecuted in countries like Kenya and the US, and it effectively, as of today, ended piracy in Somalia. Now, it's interesting because although you may not agree with the tactics, you can understand their thinking. The root causes of piracy, poverty, weak governance and economic instability, created this in the first place, and those issues still persist in Somalia today. These underlying factors make a resurgence of piracy possible if vigilance wanes or local conditions worsen. To ensure a lasting solution, the only way to fix this is have long-term investments and economic development. To make politics more stable and regional cooperation is essential. They are in desperate need of help, because we may judge these pirates for what they did, but if you're experiencing extreme poverty and all you see is international vessels literally coming into your waters because there's no one there to police the waters because there's no navy, and you're just seeing all your food sources just being eaten up by these international vessels, you can't really blame the Somalians. Like, what other options do you have at this point? It shows, given the right conditions, what people are capable of and how far they will push their own moral ethics to survive. Now, I don't agree with the actions of these pirates, but I do sympathize with them, and I can certainly understand their perspective, and I can certainly understand why it came to be. Because if you were pushed into a lawlessness, poverty-stricken country, what would you do? So that's it, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Please like, share and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. What do you think about the Somali pirates? Do you have sympathy towards them? Do you feel like they're justified in their actions, or do you think that they're criminals pure and simple and they don't deserve to act how they acted? It's easy for us, especially in the Western world, who, although we do have our own issues, it's easy for us to judge because we're not dealing with extreme poverty. Generally, of course, there is people that are, but majority of us, if you're sitting here watching this video, you're probably not having to deal with extreme poverty where you're struggling to survive every single day, where you can't even get food, you don't have shelter. I mean, you can't really blame the Somalian pirates in that sense. But anyway, let me know what you guys think down below in the comments, as always, and please like, share and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. It's very much appreciated. I'm hoping, like I said in my last video, that I can get to 1,000 subscribers. So this video is nice and short and sweet this time. I'm trying to kind of condense them down a little bit to make them informative but also kind of more digestible. But anyway, that's it, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Peace out.